So for tonight's practice, I'd recommend grabbing both a blanket and blocks if you have them, 2 blocks if you have them. And that's going to be for coming into a low lunge or a lizard type shape. So to prop the hands up. So if you have blocks or light blocks for that. And then a bolster. And if you don't have a bolster, maybe 2 pillows, because we will be coming into a back bend over the bolster. Towards the end of the class. So just take the next couple minutes to gather whatever you need. For tonight's class, I recommend a blanket, a bolster, and 2 blocks. Yeah. And then as you grab your blanket, just come to sit, and we'll get going in just a minute. So for today's class, we'll be exploring the deep front line of the body. So the deep front line is the myofascial core. And that myofascial core comes up the inside of the legs, comes deep through the abdomen, through the viscera, surrounds the heart and the lungs. And it's really responsible for our posture. And when that deep front line is tight, what happens is we collapse and everything kind of comes into this protective shape. So all the curves of the spine get bigger. It's hard for us to move our hips in opposite directions. So we'll explore that tonight by beginning in a butterfly shape. So for this yin version of butterfly, take the knees to about 90 degrees so that you can just start to fall over, cascading down, letting the head be heavy, and letting time and gravity just start to churn you inward as you ground into this practice. As you arrive, start to turn your attention inward. Feel the sit bones on the earth. Feel the feet on the earth. Let go of the head. And start to feel the spine round as you turn into yourself. And as we come into this first shape, we're actually slackening all of those structures that we're going to open and expand. It's like taking the stretch out of a rubber band. As you shorten it, you remove the tension, return it to a resting length. And then it will lengthen with more ease. So take a few minutes just to let go of any effort, any striving, and turn inward. Allowing your body to be at rest, to be at ease. Maybe setting an intention for this internal practice. taking about 5 more breaths here. Feeling that intention in your entire body and mind, giving purpose and meaning for the practice we're about to begin. Welcoming all the sensations as they are right now. And committing to welcome everything that arises with kindness and curiosity. As you start to roll yourself up, using your hands to walk up your spine, back to neutral, allowing your head be the last thing to rise. Just feel the integration. Feel the length and the height in your spine. Watching the wave of sensation. And then begin to make your way towards your belly. So come onto your belly. And you may like, it's up to you, to have a blanket in the front of your pelvis, or even roll up your blanket so it's like a little roll right in your pelvic area. And we're gonna lie on our bellies and start to open up now that deep front line of the body. Coming into the counter pose for that butterfly posture. Come to your elbows and find Sphinx. And for this variation, I really love to have the prop under my belly. You may also like to use your bolster as well. You could fill the whole belly section with your bolster and it would come up right against your elbows and just really hold you up in a little bit of a more restorative way. But with the bolster, the pillows there in your belly, it will give you a gentle mobilization to that internal viscera. And so take a few deep belly breaths. Allowing the body to sink a little bit more into that prop. There may even be a little tenderness. So maybe rock the pelvis side to side. Sinking in a little bit more towards the floor. Feeling how the belly just moves out of the way for the bolster. And use your breath as the driver for release. Breathing in through the nose, filling the belly. And then nice long exhale out. Breathing in through the nose, feeling the belly fill. Feeling a sinking then on the long, smooth exhale. if you're ready for a little more, observing your edge, maybe you press up towards your hands. As you press up towards your hands, create a tripod with the hands so the hands are wide. And then relax the buttocks, relax the inner thighs, relax the back, softening the shoulders, head and neck. Let the hands hold you up, creating a nice backward C shape in the spine, reversing the effects of gravity and all of the forward movements that we do day in and day out, as well as opening the front body to expose that deep anterior line of the body, stretching through the myofascial structures of the gut, of the diaphragm, of the pleura as it surrounds the lungs, as the pericardium as it surrounds the heart. Take several deep breaths, feeling the breath mobilize the body from the inside out. Taking 3 more breaths. Last full round of breath. Exhaling and surrendering all the way to the floor. Letting the head turn to the side. Arms may come by your hips. Let the body surrender completely to the floor. Riding the wave of sensation as you feel sensations of warmth or a sense of flushing, heat, maybe zinging, as the body integrates the posture. Allowing the body to come back to balance. When body is at ease, breath has returned to normal. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Press up with your hands, engaging the belly, shifting the hips up and back, just pausing in child's pose for a moment to transition. Finding a safe place, feeling sensations of being supported, safe and secure, establishing a foundation to rise out of as you now begin to open the body, stepping your left foot to the outside of your left hand, preparing for lizard posture. In yin, I call it dragon. And as you arrive here, maybe curl the back toes under, press through the heel so that when you land above the kneecap. And you can always use your blanket to pad the knee or even just above the knee so the knee floats to decompress the kneecap. And then as we come into this version tonight, I want you to really settle into the heaviness of the pelvis. As we come into the deep front line, we're really looking at the adductor muscles. So creating space in the inner thighs, in the pelvic floor. Feel the movement of your femurs in different directions. Feeling a deep opening through the pelvis, through the hips, and then just allowing yourself to fall into gravity, just letting go of whatever you're holding on to. Maybe the elbows come to the blocks or the floor. You may even like a block for the forehead to create more sense of grounding and stability. Listen as you arrive in stillness, pausing, letting the body speak through its sensations, welcoming everything just as it is. No need to effort, no need to change. Being aware of the rising in sensation, sensation bringing up emotion, emotion bringing up thoughts, thoughts bringing up beliefs or stories. Observing the mind and how sensation in the body creates the movement in these other realms. So as we explore the body, unlocking these sensations held within our tissues, these emotions or beliefs that create our patterns, create our postures, by bringing awareness to them, allowing ourselves to free ourselves from them, simply by being aware, by welcoming them just as they are. Pausing here for 3 more breaths. How can you be with yourself as you are right now? Be with everything just as it is. And then slowly press your hands into the earth. We're going to transition from here directly towards pigeon. And we're going to do that by walking the left foot across to the right hand. And in yin, we call this swan. And we're going to bring the foot, I like bringing the foot in a little bit more in this yin variation and bringing the knee out. So the knee's outside the shoulders, but then the opposite foot is a little closer to the hip. And I like to use a bolster. So if there's any space or you find yourself falling off to the side, find a little prop, lifting the earth to meet you so that you can meet yourself right where you are. And to begin, maybe you take your hands back to the blocks that were there. Press the pelvis firmly into the floor, pressing through the front of the right thigh and the outside of the left leg. Feel how the rooting down of the lower body lifts the upper body up. Feel the remnants of that seal opening through the viscera, through the lungs, through the heart, and through the throat, opening up through the front body, revealing yourself. And then as you exhale, folding forward, now revealing yourself to yourself, moving inward and pausing in the stillness of this deep letting go. Letting go of the constructs of who we think we are or who we think we should be, and just surrendering right now to what is in this very moment. What is right now in this very moment is the felt sensations of the body. So if in this moment the mind starts to wander, come back to the felt sense of where the body touches the earth. The top of the right foot, shin and thigh, the outside of the left leg, the forehead, the arms. Feel all those places of contact become heavy, leaning in, surrendering to that support, surrendering to that sensation that is right now. And stay in the now of the inhale, the now of the exhale. Feeling the constant change of everything. Resting in that constantly changing state of the unfolding of the inhale and the sensations it carries, and the unfolding of the exhale. Riding that wave of inhale and exhale, resting in that nowness. A mind full of nowness or mindfulness. Mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the breath, creating the conditions through that simple practice for letting go, for healing, and for transformation. Take 3 more letting go breaths, following the full cycle of breath. Feeling it as sensation in the body. And then rising gently, walking your hands in and gently pressing yourself up. We're going to have an interesting transition right now. I'm going to remove the blanket. And you may want the blanket spread wide under your knees. I'll show you where we're going, and then you can choose. We're going to go right into frog or Bakasana by taking your front leg and bringing it out behind you. And then now I'm in this wide straddle on the inside aspects of my lower legs. And I'm going to continue with that inner thigh opening. Now, instead of them going in opposite directions, forward and back, they're going to go in opposite directions out to the side. And so arrive here And I'll give you a couple options, and you might take your blanket and spread it out so that it's under the knees. It's up to you. I'll show you what that would look like so that you have a sustainable posture, just like that. And then you can come forward. And as you come forward, I want you to come forward like you're coming into a melting heart or a puppy type pose, where you try to pull the heart forward and press the hips back. So we're creating that gentle back bend again here. And then trying to let the chest come to the floor. But if the chest doesn't come to the floor, this is where the bolster is nice, right across the front of the chest, or where a block is nice to support the heart. And I'm encouraging this support around the heart space and the front of the lungs so that we breathe into that prop to encourage the opening of the pleura of the lungs, of the pericardium of the heart. Feeling the breath fill the rib cage. 365 degrees circumference, 360 degrees circumference of the rib cage. Filling the spaces under the armpits as the breath expands side to side. Filling the space between the heart and the chest bone as the breath expands forward. Filling the space between the heart and the front of the spine as the breath expands to the back. And then filling that space in between the lungs and the heart. Getting the pleura and pericardium, the soft tissue surroundings that protect our vital organs, gliding and sliding on each other with each breath. And if you feel like you have a little bit more space, you can remove the prop, letting the chest come to the earth. If the chest comes to the earth, the chin may rest on the earth. Find your edge and find stillness. This is a place that can be really challenging to move into stillness. So ask yourself, what do you need for support to move into stillness here? Is it external support of a bolster, of a block, of a blanket, or some pillows? Or is it internal support of the breath? If you're feeling that sense of being stuck, find the inhale to create space, feeling a sense of spaciousness, which allows you to stay. Letting go. Feeling how time and gravity do the work. Allowing that edge to slowly change, bringing you into new places, new sensations, new range as you explore over time this posture with kindness and great curiosity. How can you make this posture 10% more comfortable for the next 5 breaths, feeling your fullest expression before we transition. And as you prepare to move, bring your hands under your shoulders. Push yourself up with your hands, pushing yourself up and back onto your heels, walking your hands in, maybe even using your hands to pull your knees together. As you just come to a hero pose, finding stillness, letting the sensations subside, following the sensation, which lasts for about a 90-second lifespan. If we don't feed it, most sensations in the body rise and fall and pass away within about 90 seconds. So notice what's arising, noticing what's passing away, observing that constant change, constant flow. Welcoming everything just as it is. Welcoming yourself just as you are. Nothing to change. Just remaining here now in the sensations of the body. And as you're ready, maybe folding up your blanket, especially if you used it to pad your knee. We'll turn to the opposite direction of the mat, coming towards our lizard or dragon pose on the other side. Step the right foot forward now. Curl the left toes under just for a moment, pushing back through your heel so that you can land above the knee. And let me just show you that blanket modification here. I prefer the blanket just above my kneecap so that when I land on it, my kneecap hovers off the floor. You could also put it in the shin just below the kneecap so the knee also hovers. But I find that it gives me a little bit more of that psoas front hip opening when I bring it above. So using your blanket if it feels right and finding your blocks and coming to that first edge of sensation in your lizard pose. Focusing today on the dropping of the pelvis. Let go of any holding, any lifting, any clenching in the glutes, in the adductors, in the hip flexors, along the front of the hips. Allowing gravity to pull the pelvis downward, softening the pelvic floor, feeling the breath move into the pelvic floor. Melting a little bit deeper with each exhalation. Maybe bringing your hands down towards the floor. coming to the elbows or coming to blocks. If you need a little bit more grounding or stability, if you're feeling like you don't have a firm foundation with the pelvis being pulled apart, maybe bring your forehead to a block. Staying in the sensations of the body, creating balance and sustainability through external and internal support. Feeling the external support of the earth, the internal support of the breath, using the inhale to create spaciousness, using the exhale to ground. Inhale, welcoming. Exhale, letting go. Being with everything just as it is. Being with yourself just as you are. Welcoming yourself in this pulled, twisted, spread, somewhat vulnerable position. Noticing what arises in the body and where that moves the mind. Welcoming everything with curiosity and kindness on this internal journey. Taking 3 more breaths. And then rising up to your hands, moving towards your pigeon or sleeping swan posture in yin. Walk the right foot across towards the left hand. And I like to use my left hand to pull it back towards the hip crease a little bit. And I keep my right knee a little bit wider than my right shoulder. And then use your blanket to support the pelvis so that you can really anchor through the lower body. Feel the heaviness in both legs, the heaviness in the pelvis, letting go into the support of the floor. Feel how that support beneath you allows you to rise up, expanding from the pubic bone through the anterior viscera and the belly region, feeling the lifting of the heart space towards the sky, even opening the throat, maybe even opening the jaw. Revealing the entire front body. Staying with these sensations of openness as you fold forward and move into yourself, letting go of anything that's allowing you to see yourself clearly. So as you melt forward, creating an internal gaze, internal drishti, seeing yourself just as you are, letting go of any stories, letting go of any limiting beliefs, allowing anything behind you or anything that's holding you back to just fall off, fall back into the earth
as you completely surrender in this moment to everything just as it is right now. Through this process of letting go, creating a sense of spaciousness, sense of openness, deep sense of awareness and wisdom. Without judging, without needing to change. Take about 7 more breaths here, being with yourself just as you are. Everything just as it is. Welcoming everything that's arising in your body, in your mind, in awareness. With each passing inhalation and exhalation. Letting go for 3 more full, deep, feeling breaths. Feeling this last exhalation carry out any last thing that you may be holding on to that no longer serves you. Sighing it out through the mouth, creating a sense of spaciousness as you start to walk yourself back up. We'll make a similar transition as we did moving towards Bakasana, but we'll set up for a different shape this time. So turn to the side of your mat. We're gonna stay in a wide posture of the knees, but bring the feet together and make sure you have plenty of room behind you. So if you'd prefer to go the long way along your mat, you can, but I'm gonna stay this way facing you for a moment. Nice wide stance, and we'll come to a wide leg version of a reclined hero pose or saddle pose in yin as we start to walk ourselves back. And in this version, this is where I said the bolsters or pillows would be really helpful. So I'm going to encourage a heart opening version of this, or more back bending version, by taking the bolster or a couple pillows, placing them right between the shoulder blades behind the heart so that the head can hang over the back of them and the throat can start to open as well. Try to leave space, and I'll turn so you can see from the side. So the shoulders can move towards the floor. If your head feels like it's hanging, you can take the blanket and support it. But wherever you are, find a sustainable edge. Move into it slowly. If you go too quickly or miss something that the body is trying to tell you, you'll start to effort, you'll start to fight, you'll start to tighten up. So if that's happening, come back up. And then begin again, moving extra slow, welcoming every sensation as it arises in the body, asking yourself, what is my body trying to say? How can I be a student of my body and welcome this sensation and respond intelligently? Listen. And as you become aware of what the body is saying, you'll feel the body begin to soften, begin to allow you to move in again. And notice, even if you're all the way down on the ground, how the sensations change with each passing breath. Sensations giving rise to emotions as your heart is revealed and exposed. Notice what's arising. In our lungs, we carry deep sorrow, but also deep joy. In the back, we can carry deep hurt, but also the potential for deep love. So notice what's arising. Could be the more difficult emotions. And if you feel yourself getting stuck on them, maybe find the opposite emotion. Feeling it as sensation in the body. And then moving back to the original emotion. You may decide that the arms come up overhead. You could interlace opposite elbows. Maybe even pull one elbow away and then the other elbow away. Breathing in then into the side waist, feeling the spaciousness under the armpits. Creating an internal massage with the breath. Creating sense of safety, support, so that you can move gently with curiosity or inquiry and loving kindness into this deep opening, revealing those things that we often hide, even from ourselves. Revealing those patterns we get stuck in, the beliefs we have about ourselves, the stories we tell about ourselves, the hurt we hold in our hearts, the sorrow in our lungs, or maybe even the tightening or the clenching around the throat and the mouth. From not being able to express what we have to say. Take 5 breaths now, breathing in deeply around the heart, and then open the mouth, real wide mouth. It could be a ha, it could be a sigh. Expressing yourself however it feels right in this moment. Allowing yourself to be supported so that you can have the chance to be completely vulnerable. Practicing this for yourself. And through this self-practice, making it available as you move through your life, as you engage in relationship with others, as you express yourself in this world. Take 3 more breaths, listening to everything your body is saying through your sensations, emotions, thoughts, and beliefs, welcoming it all. Everything just as it is, and yourself just as you are. And very slowly, if the arms are overhead, bring them down. If you have the bolster underneath you, maybe press the elbows into the bolster, pulling the chin towards the chest. Engage the abdominals to come up. And now we'll come towards one more posture, balancing out the spine, feeling the spine completely supported on the floor, but continuing with that deep hip, belly, and pelvic floor opening. We'll come to a wall. And as you come to the wall, sit beside the wall so that as you come onto your back, the legs can go up the wall. Let the arms come wide. They might even come to goalpost arms here. Let the sensation flow through your legs with that deep opening we just did, feeling how all those pathways are open, allowing the lymph to drain back and be purified in the heart. Maybe pedal the feet a few times, assisting that lymphatic drainage, and then let the heels fall apart. As you come into this supine straddle position, or Upavista Konasana, Supta Upavista Konasana. And if this feels great, stay here. If it doesn't, feel free to keep the legs going straight up the wall, or you may even like to revisit that frog position with the supine frog, bringing the feet to the wall here, keeping the knees wide, and then bending the knees so the feet are on the wall. Keeping the entire spine resting and supported on the earth. Feel gravity and time. Continue to release the legs. How can you surrender 10% more? Allowing yourself to be completely supported and at ease. Letting go of any striving. Welcoming the nowness of this moment. Residing here. and you can choose to stay here right now, staying here as long as you'd like, or rolling to your side, bringing your knees together, hugging into the fetal position, and finding your way back onto your back for your Shavasana and I rest practice.